Welcome to the JavaScript section. Black magic of the web. Okay, let's get started. Here are some secret ingredients you need to know for JavaScript. First, we will look at basic variables, then powerful functions, useful arrays, flexible objects, and lastly, convenient loops. This is how a basic variable looks like. The one in blue helps to identify a new variable for the browser. The one in red is the name of this variable, and the one in green is the value of this variable. By using an equal sign here, we have set this variable to this value in green. Now, for this whole variable here, it reads something like this. The variable name title has a value of this is a string. You must be feeling confused now, right? Let's look at some examples to get a better idea. Follow me. Hello, welcome back. In this part, we will look at some examples on how we can use JavaScript on our website. Now remember the WordPress website that we have built earlier? We'll be using it to test out some JavaScript functions directly. Now, in your administrative dashboard, there is this plugin that we have installed earlier, the Insert Headers and Footers plugin. Now we can use this plugin directly just to test out some JavaScript coding and show you how it works on the website. Now to code in JavaScript in this plugin, because it's inserting the text in the header and footer, we need the tag for JavaScript. And the tag for JavaScript is simply script. So this is the tag that we need to start writing JavaScript code on the website. Now some people might have this. I think. But for most cases, it really doesn't matter. So let's try with this. Now let's start off with a hello world example because that's what other people start with. Most people start with. So let me show you how to print the hello world to the console. By using console log, you are actually printing out this text here, which is in the apostrophe here. This will indicate that this is a string. And you end with a semicolon. So this console log helps to print out this text here to the screen, but only if you inspect the element. Later, when I show you, you will find out what is happening. But if you put it like this, it will not work because this is not a string. Then this will indicate some other variables, two variables, but then there's a space here, so altogether it will just become an error. So let's do this and see what happens. Okay, so if I refresh the website, this is the corporate website that we built earlier, and inspect the element. Go to the console tab here. Then you can see that the hello world text has been printed out. Now, because we are just showing you as an example, you'll notice that it doesn't affect the website. So it's just for us to check values. Alright, let's go back and look at variables. So if I go back, now I'm going to show you some variables. Firstly, let me show you maybe an integer. So by using var, I'm indicating that this is a new variable here. And then maybe the name title equals to 5, the value of 5, and with a semicolon. Now to show you this variable, I can type in the variable name and the console will print out the value of this variable. So let's save and take a look. So once it's saved, let me refresh. And you can see that the 5 has been printed out like it should. Let's go back and look at some other variables that we can show here. Now this is a integer. So if, for example, if I want a string, if I use the same console log with the title and I save. Now if I refresh the page again, you will get the string, the text that exactly what we have entered in the variable name title. So this is good. So let me show you some mathematic functions that we can perform. So maybe number 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 4. Number 2 equals to 6. So for example here, I can add these two numbers by simply keying in like this. Number 1 plus number 2. So now in this example, the console should print out the number 10. So let's save and take a look. So if I refresh, you see the number 10 has been printed out. They have added up these two variables together for us in the plus sign here and print the number 10. Now this is what the integer will do. You can see this is pretty easy. So let's see if we can add strings. So if string 1 equals to this and string 2 equals to is 5. Now if you notice, I put a space here because there's a space. We need a space here as well. So we'll change this to string 1 and string 2. So if I save it now, it should give me the same string as the title. So if I refresh, you can see it has added up the string together. They call it concatenate. That means join the strings together and make it into this new string here, new text. This is 5. Because previously there are two different strings of different variables. So this is what some things you can do with a variable. These are the most basic variables that you need to know for JavaScript, and this is about the same for other programming languages. But you have to be careful with the plus here, because for some other programming language you cannot really add a string directly to each other. But because JavaScript is very useful and very easy to use and convenient, they made it such a way that you can just add the strings together to join them together. Now let me show you how to override the value of a variable. So now for example, this is 5. If I want to change the string number 2 equals to is 20. So let's see what happens. As you can see, the new value has taken effect. So if I set the string 2 to a new value, so the string 2 will become this value instead of this. So this will be irrelevant. Now, one thing to note here is that when you set a new value to an existing variable, you don't need this text here, var, because this variable has already been created. So we don't need to create it again. We just need to assign it a new value. So we can omit this var out when you set a new value to an existing variable. Now we can also assign values of variables to a new variable. Let's say string 3. So string 3 equals to string 1 plus string 2 plus string 1 plus string 2. So what happens here? Let's take a look what is string 3. So let's save. So once saved, you can refresh again. So it should have like a long line here. Yeah, this is what it will look like. This is 20, this is 20. So because it's a string 1, string 2, string 1, string 2. And there's no space in the this here, so there's they'll be like together like this. So now for example, if I want a space there, I can even put in a string without any, which is not a variable, directly a string inside this to achieve the effect. Now if you notice, I forgot to place the semicolon, but it still works because Actually, most of the time you can omit the semicolon, but it's just a good practice to always put it. So let's just put it there, because most other programming language will need it also. So let's save and see what happens. Let's refresh the website. You can see we have added directly a string in the console.log. As you can see, you can do this with JavaScript, which is very, very robust and flexible. Now, for many other programming languages, you might not be able to achieve this effect by just adding everything together. You might have a different function to add strings and things like that. So JavaScript is really easy to learn, easy to use, and you can play around with this and see how you can add different variables together and create a string of your own. Alright, right now, let's begin to look at the different types of variable. So we have gone through integer and strings. Let's look at what is a double. So double is basically a number with decimal points. So this is a double, it becomes a double, and this becomes a double as well. So if I add number 1 and number 2 together, you should get the number 10.5. So let's save and refresh. So we got a new number here, which is 10.5. Now this is really easy, just like an integer but with a decimal point. So why do we call it a double? It's called a double because by setting it a double, which JavaScript automatically do for us by reading this, it gives more space in the CPU system to record the value, because it really needs much more space to record as a decimal value. So it's just good to know, but actually you don't really need to know this well for JavaScript. But maybe for other programming language, you will need to know this well, as they are very not so flexible. So you have to really indicate that whether they are double or integer or some other mathematical values that you will find in this programming language. But for JavaScript, you can just set a value to them and do stuff with them, because JavaScript will automatically detect whether they are integer or double. So that's all for numbers.